Hey, good evening everyone. I'm happy to see you have all showed up again for a new episode of the Resonance Podcast. Welcome back everybody. With each and every one of us moving into the month of October, we all have also started into the last quarter of the year 2024. And the season of autumn is in full swing too, at least here in the countries located on the northern hemisphere of planet Earth. The countries of the southern hemisphere, however, are rejoicing the start of the spring season these days. With two different seasons that are always happening when the seasons are changing on either half of the globe, it is not only the weather that is warm here and cold there, because the change of seasons are too coming with a varying spectrum of things to consider. Each season, with its day and night cycle, varying temperatures, moon phases, and overall cosmic influences, may have an impact on our holistic health, which is why it is recommendable to make sure that we are working with these influences to stay centered and focused. In our today's episode, we want to look at and learn more about the cosmic influences that are happening on either side of the globe, what they are, do, and how we might even be able to use them to support us bioenergetically for a greater sense of well-being. And no matter whether you're located on the upper or the lower half of our planet, one season we are all experiencing at the same time. The season of reflection, which is since the start of October upon us, according to our Healy calendar of 2024. In this new season, we want to take the time to reflect on everything we have experienced and achieved so far during this year. In other words, we want to nurture the seeds of our success. To nurture your seeds of success is, for example, about developing habits, a healthy mindset, and other actions that allow you to grow toward your goals. And today we are going to find out how a product of ours might be supportive in changing your game of nurturing your seeds of success bioenergetically. Hey everyone, it is Healy World's very own product marketing specialist Kai Schulmeyer being here with you. I'm happy to be your host as always. Now let's enjoy the show together. Welcome to the Resonance Podcast. Today's topic is our HealAdvisor Natural Cycle Module and its programs. This very module follows very advanced and complicated technologic schemes to support you in realigning with your natural cycle. Even though it is complex in the background, however, it is very simple to use. In our first part today, I want to take the chance to get on the same page with all of you and talk about all the loan words, the influences, and the cycles to grant you a better understanding for what we will thematize in the last part of today's show. We are always under cosmic influences. The solar cycle, the lunar cycle, and the daily cycle, for example. And being able to live in harmony and in accordance with these natural cycles is as important as it is challenging for us human beings. Our fast-paced lifestyle has disrupted our natural energy flow, often with negative consequences for our holistic health, well-being, and vitality. Let us take a look at all these cycles first. A solar cycle is an approximately 11-year period during which the sun's magnetic activity fluctuates, including changes in sunspots, solar flares, and coronal mass ejections. This cycle has two main phases: the solar maximum, when the magnetic activity peaks with numerous sunspots and solar storms, and the solar minimum, when activity is low and sunspots are very few. During each cycle, the sun's magnetic field reverses its polarity. This cycle impacts space weather, affecting satellites, GPS, and power grids, and can enhance auroras. When you are out of sync with the lunar cycle, however, it may have effects on both your physical and emotional well-being. For some women, for instance, the phase of the moon often align with their menstrual cycles, and being misaligned can result in irregular periods. The moon also influences sleep patterns. During a full moon, for example, increased light can disrupt melatonin production, leading to insomnia or restless nights, which may leave you feeling beat and tired throughout the next day. And not being in tune with the lunar phases can cause mood swings or anxiety, particularly around the full moon phase, which is linked to heightened emotions. The new moon, often a time for rest and reflection, may lead to feelings of burnout if you push yourself too hard during this phase. Your digestion and appetite maybe fluctuate with the lunar phases too. Many people experience an increased cravings during the full moon phase. Creatively and intuitively, the waxing and the waning of the moon can impact your energy levels and inspiration. Aligning with the lunar cycle can help restore balance, leading to better sleep, improved emotional stability, and a more harmonious energy flow throughout the month. By observing the moon's phases and adjusting your habits accordingly, you can cultivate a deeper connection to these natural cycles, enhancing both your overall well-being and emotional resilience. And then there is your daily cycle. Being out of alignment with your circadian rhythm can affect your physical and mental well-being too. This internal 24-hour clock regulates essential functions such as your sleep-wake cycle, energy levels, and hormone production. Disruption can lead to various unpleasantries, starting with sleep disorders, for example. Staying up late or exposure to artificial light can result in insomnia, delayed sleep phase syndrome, and poor sleep quality as well. Cognitive impairment may follow. Decreased focus and memory problems may occur too due to inadequate rest. And these are just a few points concerning the daily cycle that may impact you if you happen to be disrupted with this cycle. To realign with your daily cycle, establish a consistent sleep schedule, prioritize morning sunlight, and reduce evening artificial light exposure. Creating a sleep-friendly environment, eating at regular times, and engaging in regular physical activity can help restore balance. By adopting these practices, you can harmonize your body's rhythms and enhance your overall well-being. I hope the previous part provided you with a better understanding about what these 3 cycles are and how important it is to align with these cycles to support our holistic health. However, before we dive into the HealAdvisor Natural Cycle Module and its programs, there are 2 more things that I want to explain a little bit closer to you so that you can better grasp and understand the whole picture of this magnificent module of ours. Let us talk about solstices and equinoxes right away. Solstices are fascinating astronomical events that mark the points in the year when the sun reaches its highest or lowest point in the sky at noon, resulting in the longest and shortest days of the year. There are 2 solstices each year, the summer solstice and the winter solstice. The summer solstice, occurring around June 21st in the northern hemisphere, is celebrated as the longest day of the year. On this day, the sun is at its highest point, bathing the earth in abundant sunlight. This marks the official start of summer, where we people enjoy longer daylight hours. Conversely, the winter solstice, typically occurring around December 21st, is the shortest day of the year. On this day, the sun is at its lowest point in the sky, resulting in limited daylight and longer nights. The winter solstice often inspires traditions and celebrations that emphasize hope, rebirth, and the cyclical nature of life. Both solstices play a vital role in our planet's seasons and influences various aspects of life on Earth, including agriculture, weather patterns, and even our own well-being. Embracing the significance of solstices can deepen our appreciation for nature and encourage us to align our lives with these remarkable cosmic events. And then there are the equinoxes, which are captivating astronomical events that mark the moments when day and night are almost equal in length across the globe. Occurring twice a year, the spring equinox and the autumn equinox signal the changing of the seasons and the shifting balance between light and darkness. The spring equinox, usually happening around March 20th or 21st in the northern hemisphere, marks the beginning of spring. On this day, the sun crosses the celestial equator, moving northward. As the days begin to lengthen, nature awakes from its winter slumber, bringing forth blooming flowers, vibrant greenery, and the joyful sounds of wildlife. On the other side, the autumn equinox typically occurs around September 22nd or 23rd, heralding the arrival of fall. On this day, the sun again crosses the celestial equator but moves southward, leading to shorter days and longer nights. As the vibrant colors of summer fade, the world transforms in a tapestry of rich autumn hues. This season invites reflection and gratitude as it symbolizes the harvest and the bounty of nature's gifts. Both equinoxes are significant. They serve as powerful reminders of the cyclical nature of life and the interconnectedness of all living things. By observing the equinoxes, we are encouraged to align ourselves with the natural rhythms of the earth, embracing change and honoring the balance between light and dark. Alright people, now that we are all on the same page what concerns the cosmic influences, let us now talk about what the HealAdvisor Natural Cycle Module can support you with. For many people, life is a long, quiet river. It flows steadily and has directions that it follows throughout life, even if it must flow around many a bend. And yet this river comes with waves and tides, like everything else in life, influenced by the sun, the moon, and the earth. In the same way, we all are affected by the phases of the moon, the sun, and the earth. You might say that the frequencies of these celestial bodies are determining our body, our emotions, and perhaps even our destiny since the moment of our birth. Most of us today are leading a life that is moving too fast, causing us to lose that natural rhythm. Everything constantly needs to be faster, more perfect, and more conformist than it was yesterday, and at some point, we can no longer keep up with that. Our body and our mind are sensing these conflicts. A number of so-called lifestyle diseases are rampant. Many of us are constantly unhappy and discontented. Relationships are frequently failing. Families are drifting apart. Our only chance to meet all these challenges in a sustainable way is to manage bringing our lives back into harmony with the natural cycles and flow. And there's a simple tool for all Healy users to help us restore this harmony: the HealAdvisor Natural Cycle Module and its programs. The natural cycle is meant to support you in realigning with your natural cycle. With a combination of only a few steps that you must take, plus the many sophisticated steps the Natural Cycle Module is taking automatically for you in the background, this module provides you with a natural cycle protocol for you to follow through and to get back in tune with yourself. The steps that you must take are as simple as it gets. The first thing we do is to determine our geographical position on this beautiful planet to give the module the chance to identify whether our whereabouts are in the northern or the southern hemisphere. This is not only important concerning the varying seasons on both halves of the planet, but also to determine this due to the different gravitational forces. In Quito, in Ecuador for example, which is near the equator and at a high altitude that is about 2,850 meters above sea level, the gravitational force is slightly weaker. And this is because you're farther from the Earth's center due to both the equatorial bulge and the higher altitude. Whereas near the poles, such as in Helsinki, Finland, gravitational force is stronger because you're closer to the Earth's center due to the flattening at the poles. In the next step, you need to select the day when you are going to perform a reconnection to your natural cycle, and to do so, we are getting help by the oxidation and reduction diagram. Here we can see 8 ideal trigger dates that differ depending on which side of the planet you are located. These 8 trigger dates represent the exact 4 days where the seasons are changing. The other 4 ideal trigger dates are representing the equinoxes, where day and night are equally long, and the solstices, where we have either the shortest or the longest daylight hours. And actually, this is everything that you have to do yourself to get your natural cycle protocol started. All the other steps are being done automatically, like also applying the moon phase that is upon us on these trigger dates, for example. From here on, the app will automatically take care of finding the right Healy IMF programs for you to start your natural cycle protocol with. For our 2 days example, we are using the trigger date March 20th in 2022 at 11:33 a.m. This was the exact time and date where spring started in our chosen location, New York City, USA. Here we see the oxidation reduction diagram again, but this time in combination with the meridian clock to determine the programs for your protocol. 11:33 is right there on the heart meridian, as this meridian is, according to traditional Chinese medicine, most active between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. So we take this program into closer consideration for our natural cycle protocol. Next up, we take the little chart that we used earlier today, where the 8 ideal trigger dates are on, and apply to the meridian clock. Our chosen day, March 20th, is being found on the left side on the meridian large intestine. And with this, the large intestine meridian program is also a possible program to start your natural cycle protocol with. In this next step, another chart is being applied to the meridian clock, which represents the moon phases. On March 20th in 2022, we had a full moon phase going on. The full moon, as we can see, is between the 2 programs, stomach and spleen pancreas. These 2 programs are now also on our list of possible programs to start our natural cycle protocol with. But how is the app determining now just one program of the 4 programs we have identified as possible starting point of our natural cycle session? Pretty easy, to be bluntly honest. The app will put a straight line coming from the center of the diagram to the center of the organ meridian that is active the most at the time of the start of the season, which is the heart meridian, since spring started at 11:33 a.m. Another line is drawn to the organ meridian where we found our date, March 20th, which is large intestine. Now we draw another vector coming from the center of the meridian clock to where we found the moon phase that was on during March 20th in 2022, which is in this very example, the full moon phase. And now we have it. We have 2 programs we can start our natural cycle protocol with, which are stomach or spleen pancreas. I repeat, these steps are nice to know for you to outline how complex this module is working. But you certainly do not have to remember these steps since the module is doing this automatically in the background for you. Isn't it amazing what this module is doing automatically in the background for us to find the best possible way to start the natural cycle session? I think it is really astonishing how many complex factors are being considered for us. One last thing before we end the show today. It's nice to know about the science now, but let me also introduce you to how a natural cycle frequency session looks like. We start our session with a good glass of fresh water 30 minutes before we start our program. 15 minutes later, we have another glass of water to hydrate our bodies even further. Now we are ready to run the activation program that has been identified by the module, and in our example's case, it is stomach or spleen pancreas. Afterwards, we have another glass of fresh water, and later that day, we run the daily stabilization program of 30 minutes, and with this, our first day of the natural cycle protocol has been successfully ended. On the next day, another activation program of an organ meridian is next, as the protocol continues clockwise. If there is a program up which is in the middle of the night, please sleep through and do not wake up in order to run your program. Here's a small example of an exception. Instead of applying the lung meridian program between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., you can use the stomach meridian program between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m., for example. Once you're waking up easily and refreshed in the morning, and when you can go to sleep easily as well, these are signs of being realigned with your natural cycle. And that means, if you want, you can end your protocol at the very next trigger date. If you want to start over again after a few weeks, just wait for the next trigger date to roll around and you can start. All these reminders when to drink water or when to run a program are all being displayed within the natural cycle module. So you don't have to put up another calendar for you. It is all put in there, so you will always be reminded what the next steps are to follow through during your natural cycle session. Aside from the module, the natural cycle is also common with 12 activation programs, one for each main meridian to activate and 2 stabilization programs for your daily and solar cycle stabilizations. It is best to use the daily stabilization for the first 4 weeks until you feel aligned with your daily cycle. After finishing the daily stabilization phase, switch to the solar stabilization program. This extensive module with all its functions and features awaits you in our shop for it to give it a new home. The HealAdvisor Natural Cycle Module is not included to any of our Healy editions, but is thankfully addable to any of our Healy editions, except to the Matte Healy edition that is only available in the European Union. Who of you folks wound the clock? Is it really time to stop? Yeah, it unfortunately is already. Dear Healy World family, we're at the end again of our today's episode of the Resonance Podcast. I hope you enjoyed it just as much as I did today, and that all your questions about the natural cycle have been answered, so you can jump right at it to brace yourself for the next trigger date to come up to start your very first natural cycle protocol. My dears, I hope I get to spend also in the next month a few minutes together with you with the November's episode of the Resonance Podcast. And in the meantime, I'm wishing you all the best. Take care and stay healthy.